What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Code, DC UPenn's finest. Chris is out today. He is a non-COVID illness. That's what the injury report is saying. But show must go on. We will be talking about the running back and wide receiver prospects in this year's NFL draft. Spoiler warning: yes, we will be talking about Travis Hunter in both the wide receiver and the DB prospect preview reviews. So you're going to hear about him at least one more time after this episode. Just throwing that out there. Just want to remind you guys, though, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on the post notifications so you don't miss a single upload from all the great shows on this network. And then audio listeners, leave a like, 5-star review, download the episode, all the good stuff that pushes the algorithm. But, of course, got to send it to Danny for Summits and Plummets to start the episode.
Yeah, got to be Summit. It's got to be what Real just did on. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Sixers obviously doing a tankathon, and they dropped Saquon Barkley in a Sixers jersey, 60-yard run, as Sixers are playing the Knicks, and the Knicks are like big Giants. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I checked the other games to see what they did. For the Hawks game, they did Drake London's game-winning touchdown against the Eagles. For the Suns game, they did Marvin Harrison Jr., 60-yard touchdown. So I assume they're just going to do it for the rest of the night with all the other teams. So, yeah, that was
Fantastic.
Pretty silly, pretty goofy.
I loved it.
No plummet on this fine game day eve.
Plummet is my body. His body's in shambles. I don't know. Some would say we're washed. My body does not recover the way it used to do when I played football. So, yeah, definitely be my body after some of these games.
Yeah, streets are saying you're washed, but maybe you just need to put your face in some ice water.
I need a banana on my face.
Yeah, and then you need to do full sprints in the Johnson & Johnson parking lot every morning.
Yep, every morning, 6 a.m.
Yep. So, for me, I would probably say, you know what, Summit. Celtics are playing some of their best ball right now. I mean, March in the NBA, March and April in the NBA are about the most useless basketball that you'll ever see in your life. Like Kobe White just won Player of the Month for whatever reason over Jason Tatum. That was completely stupid. But, they just went 15 or 14-1 in the month. Joe Mazzulla won Coach of the Month. Jason Tatum should have got Player of the Month, but that's neither here nor there. And they just went 6-0 on a road trip for the first time with a win differential of like 13 points during the stretch. So they're peaking at the right time, and it's perfect because even all year, they're the champs. So you give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm still looking at an OKC team, and if they were to match up, I'm kind of like I might take OKC in a 7-game series. But when you have these stretches by Boston where Kristaps Porzingis is clearly available, Al Horford is hitting his shots that definitely are coming at a premium these days, but he's still doing his thing. So definitely happy with how my team's playing basketball. Jason Tatum, this is easily the best he's ever looked in his career. The playmaking leap is on another level, and I feel like every time, around this time every year, I'm saying it again. The leap has taken, we've taken another leap in the playmaking department. Super, super proud of that team. I can't wait for the playoffs. And honestly, I'll go double Summit. Duke is a lot of my favorite high school players usually go to Duke, so I find myself cheering for them a lot. Man, they're spectacular. They're spectacular. I guess I'll say the overall March Madness has been my Summit. I'm not a college basketball junkie. I don't crave upsets per se. This year, my bracket did relatively well through the first 2 rounds because I didn't pick a single 13/4 or worse. Like the worst I picked was a 12/5. And I think it might have been UC San Diego over Michigan, which is valid because Michigan's frauds. But The point is, I mean, look, we got the 4 best teams in the country in the Final Four. At the end of the day, that is objectively the best basketball that you're going to see. So in my eyes, that is a W. We got Duke, Houston. We got Auburn, Florida. You got 2 players that were up for, player of the year in Auburn and Duke. And then you have Florida, who's been like a defensive menace, had an absolute insane comeback last game. Clayton is the most tourney-made kid I think I've seen since Carson Edwards. And Houston's always going to be in the mix. Well-coached team, very experienced group of guys there. So super stoked about that.
Yeah, for sure.
We just want to get into these running back previews or anything else you wanted to ramble on real quick?
Nah, these a lot of people are calling a lot of hate for this tournament, and
calling it chalk madness.
Look, the women's bracket has always been chalk. Where's the hate for the women's bracket? There's none.
There's none. Because who are we to complain about Haley Van Lith at her 3rd different school on the redemption tour of a lifetime? Paige Becker's continuing the tradition of UConn dominance with her 40-point win. And honestly, we took a huge loss in the women's tournament this year because Juju Watkins isn't soon enough for USC in these final games. So I will say this. I've kind of thought this for about 2 years now. The women's bracket provides a better Elite 8 and on. The men's bracket provides a better first
Holistic.
3 rounds.
Holistic. Yeah.
I would even because of UConn's last 2 runs, those final 3 rounds have been a little chalk. UConn used to take care of business, but I think we'll get a last 3 really good games out of this men's tournament, unless Cooper Flagg has been holding back his powers and decides to go nuclear on everybody, which is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I wanted to mention, pretty funny. The Chicago White Sox have been winning baseball games.
Winning it all this year. Yes, sir.
I think the last 3 teams to win 8-1 on opening day have won the World Series. Chicago White Sox did it. So
we'll keep a tab on them for sure. For sure. Hey, who are we to say they can't make the Pistons jump from worst team in baseball to a playoff team? Who are we to deny them of that?
Usually baseball doesn't happen that way. It's like you know how we know who Bam Adebayo is?
Yeah.
We know what they are.
Come on, man. Yeah, I guess I gotta say it's another summit before we move on. Baseball season is back. It's never been more back. And it's pretty good to see. Guys like Stott are looking great. He was talking about he had a shoulder injury last year. Oh my God. I can't believe I didn't even mention I was at Reading's the Reading Fighting Phils media day yesterday. That was awesome. Got to talk to top prospect, Aiden Miller, who updated 13th best prospect in the league as of today. Painter is 6th, but he's gonna get called up soon. He doesn't even count. So yeah, that was pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting
for sure.
Yeah. But let's swap sports entirely and go to our top 5 running backs and a dark horse guy that we like. We just talked about chalk madness. The number 1 back and number 1 receiver in our selections should be pretty chalk. But best running back in this year's class,
Ashton,
the first guy in years where even with Bijan Robinson, you're like, yeah, he's a top 10 talent, but you can take him in the top 10. Ashton Jeanty is going to go in the top 10.
And if he doesn't,
that good,
the Eagles will be calling up to perform one of the dirtiest backfields of all time.
Yeah, I'm afraid Jeanty's going to get treated like Miles Sanders at Penn State when he thought it would be him. And he will. He would be. He would be.
Yo, that's a sleeper. If the Steelers get Rodgers, move up 10 picks, go get Jeanty.
Oh my God, Steelers drafting a first round running back again. Let's do it.
Hey,
I mean, it's Jeanty,
hey,
so it's a little different,
look,
but
look. If they do that, sign Aaron Rod. I can't complain.
I'm afraid you're facing an all time "it's over, we're back" moment.
Literally, yeah, they're moving all their chips in. They said we're all in. I have decent cards.
I mean, look, if you plan on firing Mike Tomlin soon, give him a shot.
At least give him some talent, right? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, we can't say enough about Ashton Jeanty. Here is the one negative I have about Ashton Jeanty. We just haven't seen
he's built
enough
like a
out of
Pokemon.
him as a pass catcher, but we haven't had to.
Oh,
So,
he's also built like a Pokemon.
and he is also on Eddie Lacy watch, just kind of how his build is. But I'm not gonna say. I'm not predicting someone's gonna eat too many cheeseburgers. I'm not gonna do
He
that.
is built for it. He's built to be in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, man, even like the height thing. What's he, 5'9", 5'10"? I don't care. Like, is a running back that's never care. Like, Deuce Vaughn is the one example where it's like, okay, he's too short. But JT being 5'9", 5'10", like the lower center of gravity, the way he wants to play ball, it works perfectly. There's nothing he can't do. Even his worst game of the year against Penn State, still walked out of there with like 130 rushing yards on one of the top defenses in the nation. That was their sole focus was stopping Ashton Jeanty. So, in my opinion, he is a top 3 prospect in this class. I think it would be a little hard to put him over Abdul Carter, but I would, if someone said like, no, this is the best prospect in the class, I'm like, you know what, you got it, won't argue it.
Yeah. Want to know weird comp for Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like a faster Kyron Williams.
Hmm. I think. I don't know if speed is necessarily the make or break between those two. Jeanty is certainly faster. Don't get me wrong. I think the make or break between those two is JT's just contact balance. But
Yeah,
Kyron
but
is a little bit of a human joystick himself.
yeah,
Jeanty's just kind of on a different level. He's like those. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's these little toys where they won't lay on their side. Like you can't put them on their side. They'll always roll back up. That's kind of how Jeanty plays football.
yeah, I agree.
Can't get them on the ground.
Yeah.
You want to start with your running back too? Because I feel like mine isn't from most lists I've seen. This guy isn't typically the 2, but he's my 2. But I'll let you get started.
Yeah, my 2 is Omarion Hampton. I'm gonna look. He has put together a few very, very good seasons at North Carolina, and this ACC is nothing to play with anymore. It's not like a basketball league anymore. It's a real football school, and I think if he would have been coming out next year after a year under Belichick, he might be even ranked higher. He goes probably in the mid first in a year without Jeanty. He still might. So
yeah, Omarion is pretty good. You know what Omarion kind of reminded me of? No, there's something kind of clicked in my brain. College running backs are kind of like college basketball players.
Yep.
So if he did another year under Belichick, I mean, yeah, he's gonna have more game tape. He's obviously gonna put up good numbers, and maybe he would be a more highly touted prospect. But just the way his play style is, he's a very reckless runner. Scouts could look at that and be like, his injuries are gonna pile up a lot faster, kind of like an Ezekiel Elliott. When he got in the NFL, dude already toted the rock like 1,000 times post high school.
The same
So
problem was with what's his name, Jonathan Taylor.
John,
Like,
yeah, that's another example.
He's a senior. He can't be good in the NFL. Come on, bro. Are you serious?
Yeah, no, and it's definitely not like an entire like, oh, it's over. If you draft said guy, because Omarion's great. That is my just one flaw about him. I think the route tree is a little limited. and he can just be a little upright once he gets to that second level, but he's a real bulldozer. His contact balance is also pretty good when it needs to be. And he's a willing pass blocker. I think he could be a little bit better in that department, but that's more like technical issue. But I have Hampton at 3. I put Hampton at 3. I really was considering. I definitely liked him over Caleb Johnson. But my number 2 was Trevion Henderson.
Yeah, I love
That
Travion
guy.
Henderson.
I mean, 7.1 yards a carry and was absolutely electric all playoffs. You're talking about someone who, with Hampton and Johnson, their biggest concerns are, do they have the home run hitting? Not necessarily. Henderson, biggest call of the season, they said he could hit a home run at any time. He just might do it now, and he does it. Probably the second biggest play of the season, or third biggest play of the season behind the Sawyer strip sack and then the Jeremiah Smith bomb to win them the national title. But Henderson, even with the split backfield, I'm not really concerned. Like, you could probably look at the split backfield like, okay, but can he replicate that as being like the workhorse in the NFL? I absolutely believe he could. Of course, the efficiency is going to go down. He's not averaging 7 yards a carry in the NFL, but got very solid hands, good contact balance. He's very precise on where he wants to go. Does have maybe a small tendency to bail on lines early and take it outside if need be, but that's really my only concern with him. But don't get it twisted. He is the gap between, he's certainly closer to 3 than 1. Any of these guys will be. So
yeah, for sure. I do want to note he reminds me a lot of Falcons Tevin Coleman.
I like that. Comparisons are rare cook today. Rare cook.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he gives that little spark plug energy, catch the ball out of backfield. So I really like Henderson out of Ohio State. But he's actually my 4. My 3 is Quinshot Junkins.
Okay. Oh, so his own teammate.
I think his own teammate is the. I think, and I think Judkins projects to be a 3-down running back in the NFL. And this is just for whatever team takes Quinshot Judkins, should be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Should be pretty decent team that's looking for a running back to spark plug. Reminds me a lot of what the Bengals kind of did with Chase Brown, and can kind of plug him, sit him maybe a year behind Mixon. Maybe a team can plug him, sit him a year behind a player, and he become the feature back in year 2. I think this kid is transferred from Ole Miss, came to Ohio State, balled out in a very split backfield with as many touches to go around as possible. So Judkins surely should be a top 3 round pick.
Yeah, I like that. So I have him at 5, with definitely an argument for 4. I was definitely considering it, but I feel like I would be showing a little bit too much like Ohio State offense bias. Judkins, though, my only concern is let me start with the things I do like. I do like that Ole Miss was all his. It was all his. What's the picture I showed you at the gym, bro? Nobody's taking your girl, bro. It's like Ole Miss was all his. No one was coming for that spot. He willingly went to Ohio State, knowing he was going to split reps with Henderson. That was entirely fine with him. Still averaged 5 yards a carry this year. I think he's a hard runner. I think when he gets to that second level, it can get real nasty. My only issue with him is sometimes he's a little too patient. Sometimes he's sitting behind the backfield waiting for things to develop. Sometimes you just got to go get you 2 or 3. That's kind of my only thing with him. Knowing that he played with Henderson willingly, he could go to like an NFL team that's already got a back and maybe be a backup running back. Or if possible,
hurt me if he goes to the Chiefs, because I know he fits perfectly on that team.
If he goes to the Chiefs, that could be bad. That could be very bad for a lot of us.
Yeah, I think he fits perfectly on a team like the Chiefs, like maybe like the Ravens. They have to prepare for post-Henry life because
I think
It's kind of
the
figured go.
Ravens were kind of like where I was heading with that.
Honestly,
Browns?
wouldn't be surprised to see a guy, maybe the Browns, team like the Jaguars.
Yeah, get him in mixed in with action with a guy like Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, we know ETN's just there for the vibes. He's a Garrett Stubbs of the team at this point.
That's so crazy. Like Travis Etienne, I once upon a time thought this dude was the best running back in his class when everyone thought it was Najee Harris. The first like 2 years, like I maybe had a viable argument for that. He's just not good. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, like the Jaguars, like any spot that has like a from fringe starter to aging back, I think it's possible. I really do.
Yeah.
I really like the Ravens for him too, because Henry, look, I won't say he's gonna fall off. He's got to prove it. He's the first
He
person
has to
ever.
fall off eventually.
He does, but he's the first person who is to prove to me he's able to fall off. At the running back position.
I'm not saying he's LeBron, but he's like the LeBron physical freak nature.
King Henry, it's in the name.
Yeah, he just has it.
Kings of their own country, you know. Brady was a guy I was convinced. I'm like, he's just never gonna be bad. And I'm starting to feel that way about Derrick Henry. But at some point, even if let's say he's not bad, let's say we get to like 34 years old and Derrick Henry is, you know what, he's still Pro Bowl level.
Retire, please.
If he's still Pro Bowl level at 34, it's probably because he split the backfield with a guy like Judkins. Is my point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
but yeah, I really like Judkins. I think we both are pretty high on Judkins. Who do you have it for?
That's where I put Caleb Johnson. One of the most well-rounded guys, in my opinion. Again, issue is kind of the same thing with Hampton. Doesn't really got that breakaway speed that I'm looking for. And Caleb Johnson he's the only person who really gets this benefit of the doubt for me in my eyes. If you play on the Iowa offense, I'm going to assume you are at least 30 to 60% better than what your tape shows. Because they can't find a good quarterback. So the passing game isn't good. He is going against larger boxes. Again, another deal that Omari and Hampton had to deal with at UNC. Those guys are just very similar. That's why I kind of felt the need to just like, wherever I put one, I got to put the other one right next to it. But Caleb Johnson, I did have him a little bit lower, a little bit more pass pro concerns, even larger, home run speed concerns. But I do like them. I have a soft spot for Iowa skill players, and then a deep hatred for the guys giving them the ball.
Yeah, that's fair. Caleb Johnson is certainly a fantastic player. I think the running back class is deep. I think there's 8 to 10 guys.
It is. I can't wait to talk about my dark horse.
To have. I got a few dark horses, but my 5, because you already listed your number 5, is Cam Scatterbo.
Okay.
And a lot of people probably have him as a dark horse. I think he's going to be a top 4 round pick. Based on he's a little older, based on his body of work, and he's listed at 5'9", 220. I don't believe it.
I don't know.
This guy's got to be 240.
5'9". Yeah, he's definitely heavier. Might even be a little shorter.
He is a fantastic runner. One of the most powerful runners coming out of this class. I think he's the most powerful. He has fantastic contact balance. He can catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield. And I think a lot of people are going to give him the Dylan Lobb comparison. He's not that. Dylan Lobb was a pass-catching running back. Was never really much else. This guy is a physical freak. He dominated in the playoffs. He carried Arizona State to make a run in the playoffs. When they were unexpected. They were not expected to do anything. So I really could see Cam Scatterbo being a physical freak of nature. He's going to play a role on an NFL team. When you talk about role players, you really think about the NBA. The NFL has role players. Man, granted, he might come to the Eagles to play fullback. Come in and crack a guy. So
yeah, Scatterbo, when I think about him, I mean, like, it's tough because someone who is as bruising as like bowling ball type of play style he gives that ball up a lot. He gives that ball up a lot. Now, in comparison to how many carries he had, it's not that deep at the end of the day. But I think we're starting to see a great shift of the peanut punch again. So he definitely needs to be on his toes. It certainly doesn't got the long speed. But like you said, I mean, like role players exist in the backfield, and he could definitely be one of them.
So James Conner is a NFL feature back. Reminder.
Respect James Conner, he's a beast.
I
But
love James Conner.
Scatabo, I'm not mad at him being that high. He definitely has like the biggest boomer bust of I think I would say any guy in the top 10. Like he could end up being like running back 2 of this class if everything pans out, or he could find himself out of the NFL in 2 years. I'm not kidding.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. I
Yeah,
think it's all
he's
about,
very boomer bust, but dude, I'm all for him having a long NFL career, and he's another guy.
I love his
500. This says 521 carries over the last 2 years for Arizona State.
That's insane.
It's a lot of carries. So again, we get back to that. How much tread is on those tires, especially a guy like this who. I mean, a lot of people didn't get a chance to all year. The like playing clearly concussed thing against Texas. How many times do you think he really did that? It's probably a lot. That's a lot of running backs. Unless you're Jeanty and you're the one dealing them out. But
for real.
Not mad at that. Not mad at that at 5 at all. You want to get into maybe some dark horses?
Yeah, let's talk about some of our sleepers in this draft. I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah. So my favorite guy was Brashard Smith out of SMU. I know I gave his quarterback a shout out last week as my dark horse, but damn it, these SMU guys can play. What can I say? So with Brashard Smith, he actually played receiver last year. For those who don't know, he made a receiver to running back jump, which the only thing when I'm really watching this guy is just inexperience at the position. I would put him higher. I really would. Like, let's say he had 2 years at running back. I would probably have him at running back 3, but I know it's going to take a little bit of time for him. But while playing receiver, hands are great. The route tree is not limited whatsoever. You can motion this guy into the slot. He can run routes out of the backfield. He'll be a mismatch nightmare for linebackers and outside backers, even slot corners. But he's just amazing with the ball in his hands. And he's just like his quarterback in a way. Very twitch, great athlete. Is clearly just a football player at the end of the day. I love the vision. The second level stuff is great. He had an awesome game against Pitt. That I was a big fan of. That was their game to let us know like they're really here. And he was a big piece behind that. And for someone who maybe even might be a little undersized, I love the contact balance. He kind of reminds me of maybe a slightly less explosive Jahmyr Gibbs. That was kind of the comp. I was walking away with that one, but the hands are even better because he has that receiver background. Look, I'm a big fan of him. If the Eagles really want to solidify that backup running back spot, hell, if they want to solidify that wide receiver 3 spot, I'm not mad at Brashard Smith whatsoever. He's got a fan out of me.
Yeah, Brashard Smith is fantastic. I think he could certainly be he could be that sleeper, the deep development type prospect for a lot of teams that can kind of let him sit behind and develop. I have 2 guys. I'm gonna start with the one name who's a little more known. Damian Martinez out of Miami, more of a bruiser running back. And he's gonna kind of run downhill and try to run through your face. And he just he plays that power style football. You could find himself seeing 2 to 3 downs a game on a decent team if things pan out correctly for Damian Martinez. And the other guy didn't have the best year last year. Freakish athlete. He clocked a athleticism score of a 92 with a 4.44 40, a 38.5-inch vertical, and a 1.5 second 10-yard split. That's Donovan Edwards. I think people forget the season Donovan Edwards had in 2023. When he decided to go back to Michigan, he was the reason Michigan. He's one of the reasons Michigan won the national championship.
Yeah, in that game, you wouldn't be able to tell who was running back one. Him and Corum were literally going band for band on Washington's head.
Yeah, and look, I understand that they had a phenomenal offensive line. They had a great coach. They had a good scheme. Maybe that coach didn't know how to use them right. Maybe the new Michigan coach was misusing running backs. It's a new scheme. His senior year, he's checked out a little bit. I think if he goes to the right team, Donovan Edwards could be a late draft steal. And why not take a flyer in the 6th or 7th round? This guy has every skill in the tool set you can kind of ask for.
I absolutely agree. I agree. There was a time where I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Corum was clearly the lead back when they were together, and there were times I'm like, you know what? Maybe they should be more split. I was a big fan of Donovan Edwards a couple of years ago. Certainly not out of him. I agree with everything you said, but when you were talking about someone who's like, he didn't have a great year this year, I thought you were going to refer to Ollie Gordon.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah,
not his fault.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I hope he is a bounce back in the NFL because I think he's a great athlete.
Yo, you know who's also baller?
But go ahead.
I wanted to mention that I don't know if you're going to talk up just my last before moving over to receivers. Dylan Sampson and Jordan James. Shout out to those two. I don't want to talk too much about them, but they have some breakaway speed, and I think these guys could be impact players.
Yeah, those two along with like Devin Neal, they're not like dark horses, but like fringe top 5 guys. So it's like they're not the deepest of cuts, but very good players. But the one thing I want to say about Martinez is he's like the first running back I looked at where I'm like, yeah, dude, this dude's pass pro is so bad, like I have to dock him because like running backs with pass pro, it's like tight ends with blocking. How much do you really care? But in a league where we're calling a lot of max protect because guys like Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Bryce Huff, they're coming for your head. So
get him to the right coach, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gets to the right system. I do like him a lot. He's just a very sporadic, inconsistent pass pro guy. And
yeah, usually
pad levels is a theme with a lot of these running backs.
That's fair.
We gotta get these kids in the tunnel. Get them running, low center of gravity.
They're all COVID kids, man. They took a year off. They're chilling.
All 7v7 babies.
Yo, we had to play freshman year with a mask on.
with the like
the gator.
Yeah, the gator mask. And you would, most people would just put it down like when it was time.
Bro, you pull right here. Pull it right here.
Yeah, like what are you doing, bro? You can still breathe. I remember they found like a study. It was like the gator mask. Like you are better off just not wearing anything than wearing a gator mask. I'm like, how does that even make sense? What? It was crazy though. I remember Keystone offered us those and then like a regular mask. I was like, yeah, just run me the regular mask, dude.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, but let's talk about our wide receivers, man. I mean, we are both receivers, former receivers ourselves, so it's only right that we dug deep on these ones. Wide receiver 1, and arguably the best prospect in many people's eyes, no doubt, including mine, is the Heisman winner, Travis Hunter.
Nah, it's got to be. I'm kidding.
Travis Hunter is different.
I can't even make up a fake name to be like, it's got to be. That's how good Travis Hunter is.
Yeah, Travis Hunter, I'm still firm that I think he's a better corner than he is a receiver. But Matt Sponauer brought up a really good point with him. Would you rather the other team dictate how many times he'll touch the ball in a game? Basically, like, do you want them just be like, all right, we're not even going to throw his way? Not to say that's not impactful, but would you rather that or be like on offense, like, we'll just give it to him every single play? So I definitely value him highly as a receiver. I mean, when we're talking hands, I think the only person I could compare him to is Justin Jefferson. The greatest contact, the absolute best contact hands in the country last year, bar none. It first week of the season against North Dakota. It was on full display. He was getting absolutely mugged, put in a headlock, and yet his eyes were just on the football. There was a play later in the year. Shador absolutely is like, Trav, save me in double coverage. Trav catches it, gets flipped, lands straight on his back. Um, Absolutely amazing. Tremendous athlete. Great route runner. The concentration is there, and just the natural hunger for the football is something I only have seen out of Justin Jefferson. I truly feel that way. This is the best receiver in the class.
Yeah, I agree. He's hands down the best receiver in the class. Has some of the best skill set I've ever seen on both sides of the ball. Some of the best ball adjustment. He just makes plays on the ball, and he's the playmaker to come out of this draft. And he's my number one prospect.
Absolutely my number one prospect. Jeanty's my third. Travis is my one.
Cam Ward 2,
And
trust. Oh,
Cam Ward's been
Book Club.
climbing up the boards as a serious prospect. We went from weak quarterback class to, like, you know what, we might have a guy on our hands. So
I love Cam Ward. I've been Cam Ward for a long time
yeah,
now.
you've been Cam Ward FC for a while. Can confirm. I am Shador
Cam
FC
Ward,
though, so I
okay.
think your opinion sucks, and I hate you actually.
I'm saying this right. I'm saying this right now. I love Jalen Hurts coming out of Alabama. Cam Ward's also going to be one of those guys, no matter where he lands,
Ooh.
as long as it's not the Browns.
Yeah, Browns zap your magic. My theory is that Cleveland sports zaps your magic, and they also
Unless you're
sapped.
LeBron.
No, they did sap LeBron. Yes, he should be even better. But Cleveland dried him out for 11 years of his career. What a shame.
Man, I wouldn't. I don't blame him. Cleveland sucks. So
That's why, like in 2018, the closer he was to leaving, the closer he was getting his magic back. But who's your? You can start with your number 2.
my number 2 is it's not really close. I think it's Matthew Golden. It's like, I'm kidding. It's Ted McMillan.
No. I mean, I'm not mad at Matthew Bolden at 2. I thought your 2 was going to be someone else.
No, I'm kidding. It's definitely Ted McMillan. I think Ted McMillan's also going to be a top 10 pick. Ted McMillan is he's boomer bust to me, actually. He's got a little bit of the on the negative side. He's got the can he separate fully against great competition? I think he can. But his athleticism is just so dominant. He's a freak.
Yeah. So Ted's my 2 as well, and I felt like that way for a long time. And I do think upside wise, he could be a real threat to Hunter as the wide receiver 1 in this class. But as it stands just right now, like I just trust Hunter to work out more. But with McMillan, honestly, when people talk about the negatives of him kind of just sound like Jaden Higgins. But Ted, like, they worry about the separation thing. I have no issues because the separation is more about a speed thing and not about a physical getting outdone thing. Like Matthew Golden is great. He's gonna struggle to create separations if people want to get physical with him. Ted just can't create separation because unfortunately his 4.4640 or 4.4940. It's not groundbreaking, but it's pretty dang fast for someone who's 6'4", 6'5". You know, the hands are spectacular. He can do whatever he wants when the ball is in the air. It's not like anyone's going to outjump him for it. He's got the sideline concentration for his size. The yak is really good as well. I know a couple years back, a lot of people just wanted to comp Drake London to Mike Evans immediately, just because they're both tall and That wasn't the case. London is a lot more of a slot guy, and he's, he found himself more in that role. Tet, though, I feel very strong with the Mike Evans comparison, but I would say even a little. I think I might like him better than Evans as a prospect when he was coming out of A&M. It's very close. They're very similar. McMillan can dunk on people, though. I think that's just my slight difference.
Yeah, I agree.
Week 1 of the season, he had 10 catches, 300 yards, bro. He's goated.
He's
Beast.
disgusting.
He's beast. He's disgusting. He's good. I'm not buying into the separation thing. They were saying the same thing for Jamar Chase. I have no questions about his hands. The only corner to give him real troubles in college was Travis Hunter, and that's completely fine because Travis Hunter is going to find himself as the best football player in the league by like year 3 or 4. So, not bad company, I would say. I agree with you. Ted it too.
Yeah, my number 3 is Matthew Golden. Like I was saying, I was kidding about putting him above Tet, but he has that. I've learned my lesson. Xavier Worthy, you got to put your guys pretty high when they run the fast 40, and when they can stretch the field and they play this in the SEC offense. Yeah, put some respect on the name. Matthew Golden, I think could be a big play weapon in a offense, probably in the mid to first round, maybe late first round. Potential Buffalo Bill.
I don't hate that at all. With Golden, I have Golden at 4. I have one more person ahead of him, but I do like Golden's upside. Had a little bit of drop issues. Not the most physical guy, but he's a speedster. Definitely a lot faster. The 40 was a lot faster than what I thought he looked on film, but the concentration catches don't seem to be the issue. It's like literally just like you give him the ball more, he's going to have more human drops, which like I can kind of let slide, not going to lie. But the people buying into his upside, they're certainly not wrong. He's got yak ability. Can run every route on the tree. It's going to come down to how he can develop physically with corners that are going to want to press him, that are going to long arm him. A willing blocker as well. Probably the one that popped up the most for me. Like I'm like, no, this guy really can play inside or out, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty, which is certainly important for a guy with the stature of his. So I like him at 3. But I did have one more guy ahead of him, Emeka Egbuka, who wouldn't have been a first round pick last year. Should be a first round pick this year. I think when we're talking like sure thing, I think of him. He's going to be a starting slot receiver for a really good team in this league because that's just how he's going to fall, unfortunately. But you know what? The year before, with Marvin Harrison Jr. on his team, he still did his thing. He was still going to be a first-round pick. But he came back. The production was down a little bit because he played with Calvin Johnson III. But I still got all the faith in the world. He had a great postseason run. Will Howard was very reliant on him when need be. It's just your prototypical slot. 6'1", 200 and some change. Probably a little under. But I don't know if that's going to be his play weight. But
I want to tell you, very reminiscent of
the other Ohio State receiver, Christian Kirk. Okay. I don't know if he is the long burners like Kirk. Well, him and Kirk just played 2 different ball games when Kirk was at A&M, so it's hard to say. But I like the comparison. At least Kirk's time in the NFL, particularly the Jaguars. Yes.
Yeah, with the Jaguars, Kirk, not the early on deep shot.
Yeah, Cardinals, where he's just catching bombs from Kyler, and I get you.
Yeah, but I love it.
Egbuka's going to make a team very, very happy.
Egbuka's number 4. I wanted the Steelers to take him before they got DK. They still might, but I doubt it. I think they're going to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's Roman Wilson season. Tell him back off.
Calvin Austin III, actually. Perfect for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Both of them are, actually.
Would you say that he's going to turn them into Randall Cobb?
Yep, perfectly is.
Nice.
But yeah, I got Egbuka at number 4. And my number 5 is actually going to surprise you, but I'll let you get to your number 4.
Oh, my number 4 was Golden, so I talked
Okay.
about him, but I can go with my 5 if you'd like, and then
Yeah,
you
that's
can go
fine. You
with
can
your
go to
5.
number 5.
All right,
Yeah.
my 5. A lot of people have fallen off about this guy, and it's kind of due to the lack of production. I still got Luther Bird in here. Reminds me, and I use the same comparison about Traylon Burks all the time. He's just the best player on a high school team, you know? You just got to get him the ball in space and let him figure it out. The Debo comps, like, they're not even, I wouldn't, like, they're not cliche. They're just dead on. Not necessarily the most developed wide receiver one. The route running is a little shaky, but I think there are teams that could use a guy like this in the slot for screens, for short work, drags, lining up in the backfield. Just an ultimate gadget guy who could be truly useful. Like this could be a very good player in our league. And if you asked me this time last year, I probably would have him at 3, wide receiver 3, because I've always liked Tep more than him, but definitely took a fall from grace, but I'm not all the way out on him. I could still see him going as early as the second round. Um, from what I've read, I think scouts still like him for the most part. He's just not teams looking for a savior at wide receiver. They're certainly not looking for him, but you got an athlete on your hands who's not overweight like Debo yet. Had a really good play against A&M too. So he had those big spark plays, but just a bigger dog came into town, and that's what
Yeah.
happened with Missouri. So no big.
Luther Burden's is a phenomenal receiver. He's fallen just outside number 6 on my list. It's a guy that I've started to like recently, and I think he will be a high impact player immediately on an NFL team. I think he's going to be drafted and be a deep threat, similar to the way Gabe Davis was used for the Bills a couple years ago. Similar to the way that Tyler Lockett, maybe I think this guy's skill set. And that's Jalen Noel. I think his deep ball ability to just burn the defense and go track the ball is some of the highest in the class. And I really, really, really think that he can come into a team day one and be a high level wide receiver.
Yeah, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins. I mean, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the country last year. They're both absolutely amazing.
Not better than Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse was doing the damn thing. But I mean, with Higgins, I had him as like my 6th receiver. Just for someone his frame, I didn't necessarily like the way he went towards jump balls. It wasn't necessarily the best. And then my only issue with Noel is it just I wouldn't even say frame. 5'11", 200 pounds. It's not like the worst thing in the world. I mean, he backs it up with his speed. He ran a sub 4.4. So, his hands are bad at times. Like I'm talking Xavier Legette bad at points. But I
Nelson
mean,
Aguilar
like,
has a long career in the NFL.
Exactly. Like when I'm looking at all these guys who might have concentration drops, I'm like, you know what? It's really not that deep because Devontae Adams, his second year in the league, his hands were horrible, absolutely horrible, and he didn't replicate a season like that until this year. But you don't think anything of it. Like you really don't. It's like it's Devontae Adams. He's gonna bounce back next year. Like it's gonna be okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely like the Iowa State boys. Love Trey Harris as well. But we got to get into some real deep cuts. I mean, like we.
Yeah. Before we get into some deeper cuts, I do want to talk about Elik Iomanor out of Stanford. I don't think he's that deep of a cut, to be completely honest. I think he could find himself going in the second or third round. Shoot up draft boards the same way that Christian Watson did that year with the Packers.
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. Yeah. Did you want to start with the deep cuts, or did you want me to go?
You can go first.
Yeah. So I want to start with the Maryland kid, Ty Felton. Felton, another guy who is sort of similar to Tez Johnson, where it's like his frame is a little bit smaller and the speed isn't necessarily home run-esque. But with Felton, let me get another negative out the way real quick. 39% on contested catches this year. Not necessarily what you want to see, but um, I think there are times where, at least when it counted, with the ball in his hands, he was fast enough. When he's running routes, he's fast enough. Um, the tempo on his routes, the releases on his routes, it's like it's just truly a guy who you can tell is like obsessed with the craft of route running, and to back it up, he can catch the dang ball. So, I like him a lot. Maryland's definitely been pumping out the receivers the past couple years. Stephon Diggs obviously went there. DJ Moore went there. Two big hitters. This guy could be next, and yeah, he was a late bloomer. But sometimes guys like that, like the film just show they're better than the stats, and it just so happens that this year he put it together. Big fan of Ty Felton though, out of Maryland.
Yeah, he's very good player. Maryland probably looked his best, one of the better years they've had in the program.
Yeah, big reason why too.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about another guy who made a huge impact on the program. A guy who's probably the number one overall pick in the draft. Turned the season around. Xavier Restrepo. I'm in love with Xavier Restrepo's game. I think that he is slot receiver number 2 coming out of this class. I think his 40 time was slow at his pro day. Watch his film. He is 6 yards away from everyone every route he runs.
Yeah. Yeah, the separation is elite. Look, I was laughing at the 40 the other day.
It was funny.
It is funny. Like it's just objectively funny because, like you said, he can manipulate these defensive backs and all these mismatches. But ask those same dudes to line up in a race with him, they'll probably smoke him. But you can't guard him though. So
the thing is, look,
what really matters here?
If you watch his film, it's very reminiscent of a Ladd McConkey. He doesn't have the same speed that Ladd McConkey had, because Ladd was very athletic coming out of college. But Restrepo could be a very, very impactful player early on in his NFL career, especially given his older age. So I love Xavier Restrepo. And one of my other deep cuts, I have two more. Before I swing it back to you, we'll go 1-1. It's Tez Johnson.
Yeah,
very lightweight.
I feel the same way about Tez as Ty, so I won't repeat it. What I gotta say about him.
Tez Johnson, very lightweight, can take the top off of any defense. The only question is, is his weight going to be playable in the NFL? I don't think it matters. If you turn on the film and watch him play football, he's a damn good football player. He takes the top off the defense. He has the deep speed, even though his 40 time might not show it. He has game speed, and that's what matters when you play football, not even just college football. So, really root for this guy. I think he screams Denver Bronco. Just because,
he's very Tank Dell-esque. Tank Dell didn't have the best combine or anything, but damn it, you put him on that football field, we're good. We'll be okay.
I say he's a Bronco because is the story with Bo Nix. So
that'd be great. Literally, you couldn't Hollywood couldn't come up with that. So
yeah, and they need a deep threat.
My last dark horse was everyone's favorite football player apparently for like a week, Nick Nash. Nick Nash, many thought he won the Triple Crown in Division I, and a lot of people were like, oh, Travis Hunter robbed him of the award, which was disproven very fast. But with Nash though, I really feel like we got a player on our hands. I mean, the 6'3" frame, he isn't afraid to go up and get it. Maybe a little wiry, but not like, honestly, I don't really care. He has the route running and the little stuff about receiver, he definitely needs a little bit more experience on. But overall, he's a football player. Like when I watch him, he knows what he's doing out there. He's got natural ball tracking ability, kind of like, not like Travis Hunter because that's entirely different, but he has a knack to go grab the ball. And he just has an idea for finding the soft spots in the zone. He can be a man beater. maybe is a little bit older, but I am a fan. So yeah, he's another one of my dark horses, and I think hopefully we'll hear his name, spark up in some conversations again, outside of just hating on Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I love that. He's very, very good. One of my last guys, he played on a team that won the national championship. No, not this year. I believe he played on that team a couple years back. Georgia. Arian Smith. He is this weird X combination where he can win the outside. He's built kind of like a slot receiver, but he can go over top. He is pretty decently at winning jump balls. And Georgia's known to the last couple of years to have some really good receivers coming out. Have these dogs, so to say. No pun intended. But yeah, I really like Aaron Smith's game. I want to shout out one very, very deep cut. And that's Jimmy Horn.
Yes.
Ultimate gadget guy.
Can just play football. Like at the end of the day, put him on the field, he can play.
He's like Cavante Turpin.
Yeah. I like that.
Just get him the ball in space and he'll make a play.
Yeah. The deepest cut of them all, this cut would probably kill you. Well, not us, because we know the guy. I got the honor to play, 7-on-7 with him for 2 years, is Carl Smith. And when I'm referring to Ty Felton about a guy who he doesn't have the most film in the world, but I promise you, just watch him play football. I'm telling you, he can play. That's what Carl Smith is. Due to some transferring issues, the type of school he played at, like Lafayette, is not. They're not going out there and airing the ball out, dude. They play in the Patriot League. And even as last year, Robert Morris, he wasn't being force-fed the ball. But dang it, I know this dude can play. It's truly about a matter of opportunity. And he played at the Tropical Bowl, I believe, the FCS Tropical Bowl, and a couple teams were talking to him, and it would be reported on like fan pages and stuff, and fans are like, who wants this undersized slow receiver with no film, only had 200 yards? It's like, okay, you know what? Because stay on that side, because one way or another he's going to be playing pro football somewhere. I know he's going to figure it out because I know he knows how to play. I've witnessed it with my own eyes for years. So, when I'm thinking of the guys like Tez Johnson, like Ty Felton, Carl reminds me of them. Maybe not to that degree of take a flyer on this guy on day 2, but he can play, and I promise it's going to work out. That's my opinion. For sure. Like that is my. It could be a little biased just because I know him, but I promise you, he can play.
Yeah,
I'll never forgive him for beating me in my final weight league game ever. I know he remembers that illegal double motion. I know he does. But that's okay. That's okay. I'll remember that. I'll take that to the grave, Carl Smith. Hope you know.
and shout out Jack Beck too.
Yes.
This guy's shot up draft boards for the unfortunate reason of his brother's death. But he had a phenomenal season at TCU. He's willing blocker, Senior Bowl MVP. He's a big body frame. He plays. He's 6'2" and he plays it bigger than his frame. Honestly, I can see him playing a little NFL tight end. To me.
Yeah, there's one thing I noticed about Beck, and it's kind of similar to me, like earlier in high school, and it's just something I feel like only slower receivers would pick up on. He breaks his routes very early because he feels like he needs to get to where he's going faster, and he's taking too long on his stem. But he's a great player. Like I said, like you said, if he makes that switch to the tight end, oh my God, we got a walking mismatch on our hands. He could be a really good player. He could be a really good player. Speaking of TCU, did you know Max Duggan is in the UFL now? I forget what team.
I mean,
But
the Chargers cut him, so yeah, he figured to be somewhere.
Chargers should never even drafted him. I mean, absolutely wild that he was even drafted.
Yo, all right, deep cut. Do you remember the Steelers drafted with in the same draft as Kenny Pickett? They drafted another quarterback.
Hold up. Y'all drafted another quarterback with
Initial CO.
Initial CO.
Yep.
I don't know.
Chris Oladokun.
I had no idea.
You
Y'all drafted him or picked him up in free agency?
We drafted him in the 6th round.
You probably could have messed around and got Kenny then too. But that is pretty wild. I do have to admit I didn't even know you guys took another quarterback. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yep. Certainly Pittsburgh Steelers way. So
yep. Ways of mediocrity. But that's everything we have for you guys today. We really hope you enjoyed this. Obviously, there's a lot that goes, especially because we're doing 2 positions at once. But really hope you guys like it. If we missed out on any deep cuts or your favorite running back, please let us know. Again, YouTube watchers, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notices, audio listeners, leave a like, 5-star review, download the episode, comment, all the good stuff. Keep the algorithm pushing. From AP New Freezer of No Culture by Migos, DC Comics. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Stay invincible.